Hello and welcome to today's Inside Energy and Utilities. Today we're taking a look at the news stories over the last couple of weeks or so that grabbed my attention, and it's all net zero related. So the first one that grabbed my eye was the record that was broken quite a few days ago, well over a week ago, I think maybe 8-9 days ago, where Britain broke its record of going 1 month without coal-fired electricity generation, which is a massive milestone and a major achievement. So it is, what was the record at the time? 30 days, 7 hours, 36 minutes, or more than 727 hours in total without coal-fired electricity generation. That hadn't happened since the Industrial Revolution. So this is great news. Now, obviously, the reason for this is largely due to the lockdown of the coronavirus, which has seen demand plummet by 15% in April. The other sort of thing that it sort of highlights to me is very much that renewables are now a very integral part of the generation mix. Now, most people probably wouldn't be surprised, but actually when I joined the industry not that long ago, for years renewables were seen as too expensive and probably not realistic as a mix in the generation. Now that sort of changed, but actually what's interesting is that they are very cost effective and an integral part to the energy mix, which is very exciting when we look at the future. So it's a great record and a great milestone, and hopefully we can keep breaking this record as time goes on, even in more normal times after the lockdown. The second sort of story is very much related to commitments to net zero. I have been, since the start of 2020, I've been very impressed with commitments to net zero. And one of the things that stood out to me is the commitment to net zero from a variety of sectors, and in particularly the oil and gas sector has surprised me. And Bernard Looney, the chief exec of BP, has recently come out again, and I think this is the second time, where he mentions that COVID-19 has deepened his commitment to net zero emissions. Now, if there ever was a time where oil majors had an excuse not to commit to net zero, I suppose this is it. That they're being hit from all angles, if you like. There was an oil price war, which saw oil prices go negative, which is never seen before. On top of that, you have demand plummet to unseen levels before due to COVID-19. And it is twice now that I've seen the chief exec of BP commit to net zero. I know that from certain parts of the media, this is sort of met with skepticism. I would probably applaud this commitment because I think commitment to a net zero future is absolutely essential, and it's going to be very exciting to see what the future holds. So I, for one, applaud the oil majors. Now, I know BP wasn't the only one. I know Shell and Total have also committed it, and I think it's a very positive move for the industry when oil majors commit to net zero, even throughout this time, and I think we should applaud that. And the third story, again, is related to net zero and COVID-19 recovery, where Boris Johnson promises to prioritise low carbon investment in the UK COVID-19 recovery. The Prime Minister says commitment to net zero transition is undiminished and tells MPs the aviation sector should look to curb CO2 emissions once flights resume, and pressure mounts on EU for a green stimulus package. And I think this is all set against the light of understanding that we are in very serious times, and that most likely the next year or so is going to look, from an economic point of view, is going to look very rough, and that there will be some stimulus and bailout packages that will need to be agreed. And obviously the aviation sector is in stark focus at the moment, my view is that other areas of the economy will follow, and I think the aviation industry is very much at the forefront of this, but I think many more will follow, unfortunately. But again, what is interesting to see is that there are many calls to have any stimulus package or any bailouts with a pledge to a reduction of CO2 emissions. So again, for me, the positive thing to 2020, and there isn't much to be positive about, but what has been positive is that I've seen very, very clear commitments to net zero at the start, and even as COVID-19 started to take its impact, more and more corporations and sections of society have committed to net zero, and even now, Prime Minister Johnson has given a clear indication that he remains committed to accelerating the UK's decarbonisation efforts. So this is all very welcome. So those are sort of the three stories I wanted to pick out at the middle of this week. I'll try and do this much more regularly and trying to sort of round up some stories. But for me, the focus has all been surrounding the commitment to net zero, and how we as a society hopefully will use COVID-19 as a rallying cry to address other global crises like climate change. So I think that was the news roundup. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts. Should I keep doing this? Is this format okay? And I hope to hear your feedback. Please get in touch either via LinkedIn or Twitter.